Have any of you ever had like a thing as a kid? Like a certain urban legend or weird rumor you just stuck to for some reason? Well, I wasn't one for your Bloody Marys or missing those. No, for me and my friends, we stuck to this strange little glitch called Kennel World. For some reason, my friends and I all had Link's Awakening on our 3DSs. I don't know, it was on Virtual Console at the time. Maybe it was cheap. I can't remember. One day, a certain kid came up and told us a story about how he was messing with Bow Wow's kennel, and then all of a sudden he was transported to this weird glitch world. Now, this kid was a pathological liar, so naturally, we didn't believe him. But, after lots of investigation, we found out he was right! And suddenly we all had our own stories about Kennel World. Hey fellas, I'm Emmett Engarde, and today we'll be unearthing this crazy urban legend. Well, there's no time like the present, so let's boot up the old Game Boy and get started. Let's check out Kennel World. It's Kennel World. World in a kennel. I started my journey as usual. Get the shield, get the sword, yada yada yada. Once I had my sword, however, I took it upon myself to save state, in case things got messy in Kennel World. Having readied myself, I started to push around on the kennel's walls. For a brief moment, my mind began to turn. What if I was misremembering and Kennel World was harder to get into than this? Or worse, what if it never even existed at all? My fears were quelled relatively quickly, as Link suddenly found himself trapped in a strange world of mishmashed pixels and glitched out textures. A feeling of pure joy surged through me. Just the sight of that metal dungeon texture brought back so many memories. I began to play around, but soon found my death to some strange flashing texture monster. I decided to go out and kill Octoroks to see if that had any impact on the dungeon's form. It did. The next version of Kennel World was filled with bones and girl heads with swords. Yes, this is reality. I clipped through a few walls and suddenly I was outside near a castle from later in the game. I had tried to progress to see if I could break the story sequences, but got stuck after reaching a room where I needed the power bracelet. This trip had me pumped. I was ready to explore Kennel World a third time. The game, however, was not. My next trip resulted in Link getting stuck inside of a wall with half chickens bouncing around in puddles inside the dungeon. Outside of this context, that sentence would not make any sense, and honestly, I'm not sure it makes any sense in this context either. I got stuck on my fourth trip as well, trapped between two screens with walls of seashells and half-snake things charging at me. The seashell walls in particular were a focal point of my trip this time. My fifth and final trip ended up being the longest one, and some of the things that happened made me sure that this would be my final trip. It started off simple. I was in a weird mess of texture with a few glitchy enemies. Funnily enough, when I beat them, a golden leaf dropped from the ceiling, with the dialogue and everything. The game started playing this strange, pixely horror music, like a very off-putting mixture of tones. It wasn't meant to be scary, it was just a mishmash of sounds, which kinda made it scarier. It was this weird humming with what seemed to be Mega Man death sounds chiming in the background. I continued through the mess of a dungeon, finding another golden leaf and a stone beak. Then, when I went to another chest, I was greeted by a mesh of blue pixels and goofy music. The funny part was, the music kept playing throughout the dungeon, making my romp feel a bit more lighthearted. The next part is what scared me. The room got dark and a throbbing blob of orange was hiding in the back room near a chest. I opened the chest and found the mirror shield, strangely enough, which doesn't show up until far later in the game. Things took a dark turn after I found the shield, though. The scary music was back, and now every room I went to had a tinge of dark green and black. I would open chests only to find lines of dialogue that weren't there. I ran into more pixelated abominations, much larger than in the past. Kennel World got scary. And just when I thought things couldn't get any scarier, I opened a chest, only to find... Yep, the goofy music was back. After this, I ran around, got attacked by literal numbers, found some Goombas, and died, thus ending my journey. It's funny, I went into this thinking it would be like much more normal than I remembered, but actually, it was weird. Really weird. The Link's Awakening remake is great, but they'll never be able to replace the void in my heart that Kennel World has left. Or the camera shop, like, why didn't you bring back the camera shop? It was awesome. You could see pictures of yourself stealing, or like, there's like a Zora guy, I think. It's been a while since I played the original. Guy's car is still loud. So, what was your weird obsessy thing as a child? Let me know in the comments below. Or maybe it was just a me thing.